G'day Aussie Gridiron fans, it's the G'day Gridiron podcast, week 10 edition. We got 4 games that we want to watch, as well as Monday Night Football. So let's get down to some previews. G'day boys, we're all here. Quad box time on G'day Gridiron, brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network. All 4 guys back in the house for G'day Gridiron for week 10 previews, and I am excited, boys. How are you going, Brad, to start off with?
Excellent. Like you said, quad box. So this seems like it's been a little while since we've had all 4 of us back. So I'm stoked and ready to go. Yes.
I mean, as much as I love just being on a podcast and doing previews as just Brad and I, Nick, it's definitely good to see your face, mate.
Yes, and likewise. I mean, the quad box, this sort of quad box is my favourite quad box of the week. Second, of course, comes in when you watch Red Zone on every Monday morning here in Australia. But yes, good to be back.
It is good to be back. Isaac, how are you doing this evening, mate?
I'm really well, and I'm glad Nick's back. I'm ready for an update on Nick Punts.
I am too, mate, and I'm glad you segued straight to Nick Punts. Of course, for anybody that hasn't listened so far, we've been getting an update every week whenever Nick is on about Nick's punting prowess for SA, for the American Football SA, for the Hogs, the Adelaide Uni Hogs. Nick, we missed you last week. I was trying to tell Brad about your exploits. I was trying to find a picture that I know you had reshared, and I could not for the life of me find the damn thing so I could even show Brad, because there was one with perfect form. I remember you posting about that, and I couldn't find shit, mate.
It can't be that hard to find a fat bloke kicking a football. It can't be that hard, Ian. There's only one person that does it. Come on now. But no, I suppose punting-wise, there hasn't been any returns for touchdowns yet, so far so good.
Well, you were telling me, well, that's a good thing. You were telling us in the green room, Isaac and I, about last week's or the week before's game, and just, would you say, all 3 sides of the ball?
All 3. So it's actually a game that Travis Hunter would sort of dream of, really, between offense, defense, and special teams. So I'll go through. So offense, there was a pancake block. I'll call it a pancake block. The footage might show you otherwise, but I think Brad will back me up. Defensively, I think 4 tackles for loss. The 4 tackles, at least 3 were tackles for loss, 1 being a safety. And then I've got all footage, Brad. Don't worry, I've got all footage. And
He's got footage, Brad, by the way.
Punting-wise, I had one. The punting went all the way to the 1. And then I had another punt that landed in the 10, which only got returned for about another 10 yards or so. So technically within the 20. So the one where I had punted to the 1, so it went all the way down, got punted to the 1. Then I had to stay on for the defensive series then. So pretty much what happened was I got told to stay on. So Gavin, even though I was puffed as shit, he made me say, go back and stay on. Started as a 1 tech. The right guard starts pulling across. The running back didn't follow him. So I was right in the gap, and then boom, pretty much got up. And I tell you what, I looked at the ref, and I should have done the sign of the cross, because literally I just got up and did one of these. I have all footage if required. But I scored the only points of the second half, and that will never happen again. The only 2 points of the second half, that will never happen again.
No
for me,
way. Oh, that is awesome.
That was 2 weeks ago.
I need to see footage of this. Nick, I've known you for years, man. I never knew you had this punting prowess. What's going on here?
I've played full forward in footy for about 15 years. It's got to be useful for something. Kick the ball. I know how to kick a spiral. It sort of just went from there. And plus, I had been punting. I've been showing both yourself and Efo at various state campaigns, to which, I don't know about you, but more so him, ignoring the distance on those punts.
Well, clearly Brad never paid attention either.
No, I
he didn't either.
No, I just saw
sending
Fat
them
Man
out.
punting.
Don't Okay, it's not hard. Fat man punting. Okay, it's it's only one going around.
That's the name.
That's the
Brad.
Instagram handle.
That's the
That's it.
Instagram
There it
handle.
is.
That's it.
Fat man punts with a Z, by the way. You got to have the Z at the end.
I love it. That is exactly what
We
we're doing.
really wanted you to make Nick punts and that had to have a Z as well, Brad. Had to have the Z at the end as well. But yeah, fat man punts is probably even better.
We're just gonna
Fat man punts.
get shots of
Trademark that.
hefty guys around the Australia just punting the ball.
That's
There's
it.
so much
Well,
looking credit.
we're a country that has punters. We're taking over the NFL with
Yeah.
Australian punters
Oh yeah,
at the college level.
I love it. I absolutely love it, man.
I'm definitely definitely gonna hit up Oz Kick or Pro Kick or someone just to see if we can get a bit of
I'm not
some
punting them
kind of
that far. Come
collaboration
on,
and some just some social content, mate. I reckon with somebody.
Get
I
some
reckon it'd be an
love.
absolute laugh.
Get some love.
Get some love. I reckon that'd be great. Nick, you also said this week just gone in an absolute whitewash that you guys had of your opposition. By the way, didn't even get a score on the board. What did you have? You had a sack, first sack ever, didn't you say?
I did, yes, defensively. First sack. And I didn't even realize until I looked up after I made the tackle and then looked across and I was like, what down are we? Like third down. I was like, oh, fuck, that was behind the line of scrimmage. Yes! Celebrate. I was like pulling that, because obviously, as Brad would know, the DT equals the huddle. I was like pulling the huddle and I looked across and I was like, hang on, that was behind the line of scrimmage. Yes! It was like, it turned into one of these and then these at the same time. I didn't even realize it. There you go.
Excellent. We're
I love it. I love
mate,
it.
you're gonna be in the green and gold for more than just O-line, I think.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, if I'm doing all three phases at Australian level, we're in big trouble next year. Big trouble going to New Zealand.
Well, by the sounds of it, you could definitely take over punting, though.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the week that I spent up on the Gold Coast, the guy that we had at punter, that guy was absolutely launching it. Like, he was getting at least 60 plus.
Jeez.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Well,
And I mean, like, not just, so my thing, I can get the sort of distance. I can't get the relationship between the distance and height. So I can get decent height, a good distance, and then either I get okay sort of distance and then really good height. Whereas, like, obviously, at the Australian level, like, this guy was booming it, man. Like, obviously, so you try and obviously, as the punter, try and get a bit more air time more so than anything. So
Yeah.
it gives you time for the gunners, as they're called, to get more so around the sort of return and put the pressure on. So I'm working on it. It's a work in progress.
I like it.
Nick punts is a work in progress. And as the same as Brad and I put out last week, if there is anybody with actual footage of Nick doing this, and Nick tells me he's got footage, I want your SA guys to get in touch, mate, because we want to do a bit of collab here and put together a bit of a package on Nick punts
Edited, of course.
or a fat man punts. All right. We've got week 10 previews to do, boys, so we should stop screwing around and get to previewing some amazing games for this week. We've each picked our game that we want to watch or we think you should watch for the Sunday slate of games, and we've got Monday Night Football to preview. So let's get down to these games that we want to watch. Who are we going to kick off with? We might kick off with Brad, because you've got the earliest game out of the four that we've picked. Brad, who was it you picked for the game you wanted to watch this week?
This is a barn burner. This is a very good game. I think it's arguably the closest game going into the weekend. But we're talking about the vaunted New England Patriots against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So some really good action is happening in this game. Basically, from a point spread, part of the reason why I chose this, I think it's one of the toughest games to pick. The Patriots and Bucks, they're coming in both in even just in about every category. The Bucks got a slight edge, I would say, in pass blocking and pass rush. The Patriots have a really big edge in rush defense. So, and I think New England's better at controlling the game pace a little bit. But you're seeing New England coming in, won their last 6 games in a row, and Tampa Bay coming off of a bye. So it's going to be, I think, kind of a back and forth, and it's going to be a big chess match. So the big thing that you got to, is a concern for Tampa is simply that their health. They've just been so banged up, and obviously we're not getting Evans back, and I don't think Bucky Irvin is back yet. Has he started practicing? I don't think he has.
No, I don't think so.
Still not practicing.
yet.
Yeah. So without him, they're missing some weapons. But I just think, and Baker's obviously cooled off a little bit, but I just think that Tampa, with a week off, is going to be dangerous, man. And even though New England's riding a high, I think their schedule's been a little bit soft. So this is going to be a close match. It's at Tampa, so I think Tampa is. I would give them the slight edge personally. I don't know. How do you guys see this game?
You guys know I do love my sort of weird stats, and there's one I actually came across earlier in this year. We're talking about Baker and how he could be in the MVP conversation for how good he's been. But in other ways, there's another quarterback in this game that also could be putting his name sort of in those talks as maybe, how good he's been. So with that, I came across this week. So the longest streaks of 200 plus passing yards and 100 plus passer rating in a single game. So the longest streaks of these games. Mm-hmm. So in 2011, Aaron Rodgers had 12. That's the all-time leader. Then followed up by himself in 2020 with having 8 of those games. Drake May is 8 games currently into that streak as well. So he is on track with Aaron Rodgers in 2 MVP years. So it's actually also tying Tom Brady in 2007 for that same amount of streak and Peyton Manning in 2004 as well. So it's a pretty good company. So he has had a fantastic second year. And coupled with that, obviously, you look at sort of his play and everything. Like, he's got Stephon Diggs. Yeah, he's been sort of serviceable, but they don't have a great sort of running game. They don't have a great sort of receiving core. Like, there's nothing too special about it. They've been better defensively, as sort of one of the things when doing our previews from the start of the year. That sort of Mike Vrabel bump. They're a bit more tough. They really grind out games. But, like, Drake May has been brilliant this year. Like, you can't fault him for what he's done so far, and he's probably the reason as to why they're doing so well. And it's one of the reasons, obviously, with Mike Vrabel coming in, and obviously Josh McDaniel also coming in helping the offense, as to why I thought the Patriots would be a wild card team this year. So I am fancying more so New England in this game. I know Tampa's coming off a bye, but they've sort of been a bit weird. I know they did win easily in New Orleans a couple of weeks ago. But, the offense is really struggling to get going. They still don't have those guys back as of yet, those weapons. I think Ibuka will probably be playing. But how are they going to fare against quite a good sort of rushing defense as well? New England's the number 1 team in terms of their rush yardage defensively. So how they go about doing that, Baker's going to have a big game. So I think New England definitely in for a shot for this game.
Yeah, I think they're in for a shot, but I think their record probably doesn't reflect that their strength of schedule hasn't been hard at the moment. So their wins have come against Miami. Their only significant win was against the Bills. So you got Miami, the Panthers, the Bills, Saints, Titans, Browns, Falcons. Like, they are not top tier teams that they're beating. So they're coming up against a top tier team in Tampa Bay this week. So. And also, I think Drake May is going to miss Kayshon Boutte this week. One of his favourite targets in that offense. So I think they're going to be up against it. I think Tampa Bay will come away with a win.
Yeah, okay. The Patriots also are without some guys on the lines as well. Garrett Bradbury's still out with a hip injury. Their centre, so they're into backup centre territory. They're without Ramondre Stevenson, as Nick said, they don't really have a run game, which has been very weird because they haven't been able to get Travion Henderson really moving yet. I think that they need to unlock him somehow in order to have a decent game. And if they did have a decent run game, that they probably have a really, really good chance against the Bucks, because the Bucks have not been great against the run when they've had, I guess, in-form running backs come up against them. So the fact that both Ramondre and Travion haven't done much of anything is a big problem. The Patriots are also looks like, well, yes, they will be. They'll be without Christian Gonzalez at cornerback as well, because he's in the concussion protocol. Can't speak English. And then, as you said, Isaac, I think, missing Kayshon Boutte is going to be a big thing for them. But the Bucks, man, they are injured as hell.
Yeah, they are.
But I don't know. They've just been finding ways to win despite all of those injuries. Like, they haven't had Mike Evans for much of the year. Chris Godwin's only played 2 games all season. It does look like they will have Ibuka back. They've got some other guys in Tez Johnson as well that have been sort of really stepping up and into those roles and sort of making the most of them. So as long as Baker's healthy, those guys are going okay, and then I think the Lions are doing good. I think the Bucks at home are in for a really good game, and I don't know. It's a hard one to pick. Both teams are doing so well. Both teams are in an amazing spot in their seasons, with the Patriots at 7-2 and the Bucks at 6-2. Both of them leading their divisions. It's going to be a really, really interesting game, and Brad, I love that you picked this one.
Yeah, I think the key matchup that you're going to want to pay attention to, especially early on, is Ibuka versus Carlton Davis, the Patriots cornerback and former Tampa Bay, former Tampa Bay Buck. And because if Ibuka is healthy and can get separation from Davis, because Davis is a good man-to-man corner. And if Ibuka can get separation, they're going to feed him often. If that hamstring is not fully healthy, if he can't get the separation, then this is going to be a real dogfight. The key, I think, the difference, Baker's got to hit on these big shots. And that's why you saw in those first 4 games, when everybody was saying, MVP, he was hitting on these big shots. Last couple games, he wasn't quite connecting on the deep shots. So he's got to be able to connect on those deep shots, and Igbuka's got to give him all he can. But I'm picking, if I'm betting on this game, personally, I'm double dipping. I'm taking New England to cover the spread, but I'm taking Tampa Bay to win.
Man, yeah.
Not
bad. The other one I was looking at just as well as player line was actually Drake May over the 248.5 passing yards. He's actually done it in 4 of his last 5 games, and spoke about sort of Tampa, but more so their secondary hasn't been that great as well. So definitely could be some opportunities, as much as they might be able to run the ball with Travion, maybe get something out of that, but more so, I know Boudet's out, but they still could be able to pass a lot on that Bucks defense.
Cade Otton, baby. It's a Cade Otton game again. We're going full tight end for the Bucks again. Cade Otton receiving yards. I think that's he always gets ball when all these guys are out and in these close games. And the last couple of games have all sort of been in the 50s, 60s, even an 80. And his over-under is sitting around 40 at the moment. So hit me some Cade Otton, baby.
Love it.
That's where I'll be. Right, let's move on to the game that I picked for this week, and it is Cardinals at Seahawks. 2 teams that don't seem like they match up against each other, but they're both bird teams, even though the Seahawks not an actual thing. Why did I pick this game? The Seahawks have been tremendous this season.
Yeah.
They all 3 phases of the ball, lights out. They've just ended up with Rashid Shaheed coming over as a wide receiver from the Saints. He is just going to have an instant impact on this game. And then on the other side, the Cardinals, which is the big story, is that Jake Brisket, Jacoby Brissett, is going to be starting for the Cardinals. They already announced that he will be starting over Kyler Murray. Gannon basically said that he would have been starting over him even if Kyler was healthy, and it looks like that's what it's going to be for the rest of the season. And the Cards have just put Kyler Murray on the injury reports with a foot injury that they've basically recommended that he should get fully healthy before he tries going out and playing again. Otherwise, the doctors have said he will make it much, much worse by trying to come back too early. So they've recommended for that. But the massive news basically is that Jacoby Brissett has taken over that team. And why wouldn't he have? Why wouldn't he have? The game against Brad's former team, the Cowboys, last week, he played amazing. The guy he controls the offense unbelievably. Had some ridiculous throws. Got Marvin Harrison Jr. going over the last couple of weeks, which is outstanding. He had some massive impact against the Cowboys, and they had such a stellar game that there was no way, Brad, that they couldn't have just gone to Brissett over Kyler Murray, however that looks going forward.
I find this whole thing fascinating. The game, not necessarily so much. I think Seahawks, even as well as they have been doing, I still don't feel like they're getting the respect they deserve. Their pass rush is amazing, arguably the best in the league right now. Their offensive line is blocking well. JSN is looking like a freak. Darnold is MVP caliber. So everything that they're doing is just hitting. And they haven't had the easiest schedule in the world either. So if I would feel probably the most confident about picking this game of any of the games for the Seahawks just to cover the spread on this one. So, but the bigger story to me is the whole Kyler Murray thing, and I wonder, have we seen the last of Kyler Murray in an Arizona uniform? Because if they can trade him away and get assets for him, and then pay Brissett a mid-tier, salary, like a Baker deal type thing, then they could really upgrade that roster, and which it's beyond the scope of what we're talking about right now. But I think that it gives teams so much flexibility when you've got a mid-level quarterback like Brissett who's playing really well. If you can get rid of Kyler and, like I said, get those assets, I think it's a fascinating discussion.
Yeah, I personally think Kyler's played his last game for the Cardinals. I don't think he'll be back next year. And I honestly don't think they're going to get much in return for him at the moment. He hasn't lived up to the number one pick that they wanted him to be. Yeah. He had, I think the first or second season he had a really good season, but that's the only season that he's played well, and the rest that he hasn't played all too much. But in terms of this game, I think the Seahawks they are just going to win this game. We were talking in the green room with Nick, and I mentioned it on the reaction show. I think they are looking like the most well-rounded team in the NFL at the moment, on defense and on offense. And then at the trade deadline, they go and get Raheed Shaheed. They just got better. Sadly enough, they're in the division with the Rams, and now I'm really worried about how that division's going to play out for us. I really think that they're probably going to win the division in this one.
Oof. Well, having two NFC West guys in the room tonight, like I did the trade deadline show with Kev and Manjot, of course, who is a 49ers fan as well, like Nick is, last night. And Manjot's quote about Shaheed and the Seahawks was essentially that it's unfair that the Seahawks get to go up and load up on someone like Shaheed when the 49ers have just been snake bit once again. He says it's just like an absolute cheat code. And it is. It totally is. Because that guy, he's going to stretch that field. He's going to create room for JSN, even more room for JSN. And he's going to be the speedster. He's a ridiculous returner as well. So he's going to be wide receiver too. And you can guarantee he'll be returning ball at some point, the kick returns or punt returns, because he is just electric when it comes to just getting up on speed. But yeah, they've gone all in, and your division just got really, really interesting, Nick.
Well, I will say, firstly, around the Arizona thing, I do agree that this is going to be Kyler Murray's last game as an Arizona Cardinal, and it's still to this day, I still think I don't know what made him choose to play in the NFL even after being selected by the Oakland Athletics. But I thank you because that allowed Nick Bosa to go number 2. So that's the first thing. The other thing is I also believe that this is probably not going to be Jacoby Brissett's team next year. Because is this really going to continue? I don't think so. Like I think, they had a win, on the road in Dallas in a primetime slot. So actually, this is my pick where I do. I am picking sort of Seattle -6.5 even in this spot. Even though the last game was very close. I don't know if people remember the previous matchup earlier in the year, but it was pretty much over after 3 quarters, and then for some reason Seattle decided let's go home, and I don't know why. And then Arizona sort of caught up towards the end. Unironically, that was with Kyler Murray in the game. And that ended up being a 3-point game. But I don't think it's this time around that will be the case. I think Seattle do get up and win quite well. In terms of the division, like I am still a believer that the Rams will probably still take out the division from here. I think from top to bottom, I trust the sort of coaching between the two teams. I trust McVay a bit more than McDonald. Obviously, we haven't seen a lot of sort of McDonald as of yet, compared to being in the playoffs and big spots and going after divisions. Obviously, Stafford's having an MVP-like year, could actually win it at this point. Puka's going to come back. The defense is really good for both teams. It is going to go right to the end, of course. Like I'm not saying that Seattle won't, but at the moment, like they're in hot form. They're top 5. In both offense and defense at the moment. So, but this particular matchup, though, it's a bad spot for Arizona. They're coming off a short break against a clear superior team. So, I think Seattle win and quite comfortably.
Yep. Agreed.
Totally agreed. JSN's receiving yards is in the 130 plus range.
It's insane.
For an under-over. The guy is out of sight.
So did we talk about this on the reaction show, Ian, about what he's on pace for at the moment?
We did. You mentioned it. Do you want to mention it to the boys?
Well, he's on pace for over 2,000 receiving yards.
What? Come on.
He is.
He currently has 959 receiving yards.
Yeah.
Brett.
Oh, that's insane.
Does signing Shaheed hinder that or help?
I think it helps it.
I think it helps because Shaheed being the 2, because he instantly takes over from Cup as the 2 in my mind. He helps take away more downfield, or like corners are going to have to focus on 2. You're going to have to. Do you double team JSC and leave Shaheed open? Do you go 1-on-1? It's going to leave both of them open. And I think JSN's already got the rapport with Darnold, so I think he gets more of that ball. But I would assume Shaheed would factor in as well. But I think it slows it down, Nick. But I think I think very much like a Mike Evans style scenario. If he starts getting close to that, they'll start feeding again. But
I think it's going to be more like a Ram situation with Puka and Devontae. I think he won't get so much more the touchdowns, but he'll get the mid-level stuff and work their way up the field all through JSN to then go to the end zone.
Yeah, well, he's not getting the touchdowns now either. Yeah, that's the other thing we pointed out on the show, is that he's only got like
4, I think.
4 touchdowns on the season for nearly 1,000 yards. So it's insane. But yeah, he's nearly 1,000 yards receiving, Brad, and we're at week 10.
Jeez. Okay.
It's an insane stat, and no one's ever done it, so it's got to be a first. All right, next up, let's go with Isaac. What game did you want to watch this week?
So while the 49ers and Rams slate is still there, I left that alone, and I've gone with the Lions versus the Commanders. And the reason I picked this one is what's going on with the poor Commanders. They are just hard up against it this year, the poor fellas. But the Lions are going to be out for revenge. They lost to the Vikings last week, and they will want to get revenge on the Commanders for last year's divisional round, where they got absolutely spanked. And so Detroit are now level with the Packers and the Bears in the North, with the Vikings just one game behind them. So they're really going to need to take care of business against the Commanders. The Lions last week only had 65 rushing yards, and Jared Goff got sacked 5 times. So the O-line needs to really step up, because the Lions are a ground and pound team.
Yeah.
They need to run the ball. They need to run it effectively to then open up the likes of St. Brown and Jamison in the backfield. The Commanders, with Jaden Daniels gone, I think their season went with it, and they're depleted on defense as well. So the only thing I can see going wrong in this game is that the Lions may be overlooking the Commanders a bit and looking towards next week when they play the Eagles. So that's the only issue I see happening there. But keen to get your thoughts on what you guys think of this game.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to overlook it. Historically, typically, Campbell's crew is very focused, but uncharacteristically, I would say they weren't that focused last week against Minnesota. And I think they're going to come out and they're going to, for the reasons that you said it really well, but they lost to him in the divisional round or the championship round last year, and they're going to want vengeance. So they're going to come back and they want to make a statement. You saw them last year. Last year's statement game was against Dallas, because they lost to Dallas controversially the week before or the year before. And they came back and just pumped Dallas hard. And I think it's going to be the same thing this time. Detroit, this is going to be a get-right game, and they're going to come into Washington, and Campbell's going to have them fired up, and they're going to be spitting, piss and vinegar. And and if, in case you're wondering, that doesn't taste good, piss and vinegar.
Thank you for sharing your experience.
It doesn't feel good, but no, it doesn't taste good.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Not that I've had experience in that, but I think if this could be one of those games where I love quarter bets, betting on who's going to be ahead at the quarter, and I would, if you really want to multiply your money, take Detroit every quarter, and you'll make a killing.
Yeah, well, mate, Americans and trying piss and vinegar wouldn't surprise me. We've just gotten past Halloween, and you lot like things like pumpkin spice hot chocolates and shit.
Oh, don't knock my pumpkin spice chai latte.
Tastes fucking horrible. As bad as your sad excuse for chocolate and beer. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have tried piss and vinegar. Have you never tried American beer? It's terrible. And also, they don't use real milk to make their chocolate, Nick. Most of their chocolate's imported. I had chocolate over there. It said Cadbury's on it. It did not taste like a Cadbury's. Anyway, look, I think having Jaden Daniels gone from this game really took a lot of the heat and the fun out of this game, out of this matchup. That's a massive problem. Commanders have, once again, struggled to stay healthy this season. It's been, I guess you could term it a massive sophomore slump for the entire team, given that they had new ownership and everything last year, so essentially like reborn. They've not been able to keep Terry McLaurin on a field. He hasn't played in over a month now. They've got other guys out on injury. Deebo Samuel hasn't really been doing much of anything. What's his name? Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. What do they call him? Bill? Because apparently Ja'Cory is short for Bill, or Bill is short for Ja'Cory. He has still up and down games as a rookie should. He does have some good games, but it hasn't been there. I think Zach Ertz finally getting some ball over the last few weeks is probably the one shining light for the Commanders. And there I go down the tight end route again. But I think you're right. the Lions they played pretty well last week, but they were ill-disciplined, and I don't think that happens this week. The fact that they gave up so many penalties in their defensive line last week, so many, ones just starts, or what do they call them? When defenders, sorry, they're not false starts. The opposite of a false start, encroachment, neutral zone infractions. There we go. So many penalties in neutral zone infractions last week against the Vikings. It was ridiculous. They were just giving away yards, and then dumb penalties for just doing stupid stuff after the ball's been played. I don't think any of that happens this week, and I think that they would have got an absolute drilling through the week at practice in the facility, and just had the riot act read to them and basically said if they want to start being serious, they need to start actually acting serious. And I think that spells big danger for the Commanders here. The Lions are 8.5-point favourites, and I would probably take them on that handicap.
Yeah, 100%.
I would.
Yeah, I was even looking at the margin 14 plus is 245. That's tempting as well. But yeah, you guys have summed that up really well. Could be ugly. I mean, the one area where Washington could have taken advantage, but don't think they will, is obviously Detroit's back end is incredibly banged up. But they obviously, they've got guys out as well. Like you said, can't get McLaurin right, so it's going to be pretty brutal. I mean, with Mariota in a few games this year, they have been able to put up some points, but even though Detroit's defense has been a bit weird this year, I think it's going to be pretty brutal for Washington.
They're still amazingly good, Detroit, at even though they're banged up in a secondary, their depth just somehow comes alive and just does ridiculous things in games you don't expect them to, even though they might be second or third string guys. I don't know how they have that ability to, like, coaching-wise there is just off the chain. All right, the last of the games we want to watch for this week. Nick, what one did you go for?
I have gone for Pittsburgh visiting LA and playing the Chargers this week. So I'll tell you what, from last week, it was a absolute textbook Mike Tomlin Steelers win last week. Underdogs going into it. And then what happens, after teams have doubted them, they came out and defensively, they played the best that they have all season, considering it was against a team that, statistically speaking, was on a historic pace offensively. Aaron Rodgers has actually been operating the offense currently at quite a solid level. Like, statistically, it's not great, but, they're not turning over the ball as much. Fortunately for the Steelers, they do generate quite a few turnovers. So when they have had the ball, given back to them, they've taken advantage of that. And have been able to put points on the board. So, Aaron Rodgers coming across to Pittsburgh has actually been, quite a solid addition. There's probably talks that he's going to go an extra year, which is crazy to think about. The Chargers, on the other hand, have looked quite good statistically, particularly on offense. So they've got a great passing offense. With, obviously they've got guys like McConkey has had a few good games. Johnson was pretty good earlier in the year. Keenan Allen's been sort of solid as well in various spots. And also, two stats that, I really like and think are quite important, quite good on third down and also red zone offense as well. So when they're getting within the 20, they're scoring touchdowns most of the times and not kicking 3 points. But in saying that, like, most people using their eye test would probably say that they've been quite polarizing. Like, they've been, really good in some spots and then really sort of weird in some spots. Despite them, being able to win some games along the way, being 6-3 at the moment. Like, for example, they only just got by Miami, and then last week they played quite poorly in Tennessee, and just managed to get away with a win there. Despite looking good with the passing offense, though, Herbert has been pressured 165 times, which is 30 more than the second most QB. And unfortunately, that could get worse with Joe Alt out again, obviously with our other O-line injuries. So this game, I think this game, despite everything, will come down to the defenses. So it's more so can Pittsburgh, they're a little bit older now, so can they replicate and duplicate what they did last week into this week? So obviously taking advantage of the Chargers O-line woe. So, you talk about guys like TJ Watt. Can he step up again? He's on that big contract and really make an impact. But also, the Chargers defensively have been quite good. So, on that side of things, can they make Pittsburgh uncomfortable and, force a few turnovers for a team that sort of gets the ball out quick, gets it to those guys and really relies on yards after the catch with those bigger bodies like Washington, DK Metcalf, Jonnu Smith, Fryermuth, and all those guys. So how do you guys see the game?
Yeah, I didn't. I got to be honest. I did not expect Pittsburgh to be in this spot at the beginning of the season. I've been impressed with what they've done. I think this game in particular will be closer than what people think. It's to me the key is going to be that Chargers offensive line. They're missing their top 2 tackles. They're gone, so they went and they trade for I forget his name, former first rounder. And I think that
Trevor Penning. Trevor Penning.
Yes,
Trevor Penning.
Yep. So they're expecting him to play right away, and they're going to need him because Pittsburgh, they're one of the best in the league at creating pressure. So, and TJ Watt is one of the best in particular at that. He's got a 22.7 pressure rate. That's huge. That is huge when you think over 20% of the time you're getting pressure on the quarterback. That's massive. So, and he's I think third in sacks in this season. So I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that one, but it's going to come down to can Herbert get the ball out fast enough, and because their defense, while Nick said it has been good, it started to tail off, but they're going to have to grind out some of these drives just to give their defense a break. And
yeah.
I
don't run game as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be tougher than people think. I think for this game, people kind of like Chargers are the sexy pick, and I like the Chargers, but it's if I'm betting, I'm almost taking the Steelers with the points on this.
See, I'm going to take the Steelers.
Okay.
I think last week showed that if they can stop the run game. Jonathan Taylor was there having an Offensive Player of the Year type season so far, and they stopped him against the Indianapolis Colts, which then stopped their offense. So, it'll all come down, I believe, to the Chargers' run game. If Vidal plays well and they get the run game going, then it might be a bit closer. But as you guys have mentioned, they'll just get pressure on Herbert, and Herbert's good at getting the ball out quick and finding his receivers. But if he's got no run game to get some play action or to get handed off to someone to make some yards, I think they're really going to struggle. So I think it's all going to come down to the run game of the Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers injury report reads like a phone book at the moment. It's unbelievable. These guys just keep getting hurt every single week. Just more and more guys going onto that list. So that's the massive story here, as well as the fact that they get Joe Alt back for a week and then he gets hurt. Yeah. This team could have, even if I actually believe that they probably would have tried to pick up Trevor Penning and maybe added Trevor Penning anyway, even with Joe Alt coming back, just because of how banged up their O-line was anyway. Yep. And it would have just given them another option there. But you're right, Brad. He's going to have to play straight away. He's going to be able to go straight back into his more natural position as well. But he could be really good for him. He was really good for the Saints. He was doing such a great job for the Saints in protecting the quarterback there as well. And and they were playing. What do we keep saying about Saints? Better than expected. So he's going to feature heavily in this. And God, we're going to find out if they're snake bit if that kid doesn't end up playing the rest of the season. And I really hope he does for the Chargers' sake and his own sake. They've got some others out as well. I think Keenan Allen is going to play. He didn't practice again on Wednesday, but they had him out for a rest, essentially. It's a no-report injury. So there's a big thing for their pass game, especially for, as you say, Brad, Justin Herbert, who is sitting just under 2,400 yards so far this season, and right up there the leaderboard for offensive leaders. The Chargers are the sexy pick because no one likes the Steelers, and no one likes what the Steelers are putting out there. And you want the Chargers to win because you know it's going to be a big Justin Herbert game, and there's going to be a lot of touchdowns. There's going to be a lot of flash and a lot of flair.
Yep.
But I don't know. I can't believe it. I can't believe I might actually pick the Steelers for once. And I think it's all got to do with the Steelers' defense and the fact that the Chargers' offense is so incredibly banged up. I just don't know, even at home, well, actually, at home, but on Sunday Night Football, I don't know how they can get over that hump. Because it's a big stage.
With it being a Chargers home game, the Steelers usually travel well, so they'll probably have a lot of people there too. So a lot of silent count for the Chargers as well on offense. So,
and the hard part for
about that when we go and play them at SoFi. Yeah,
the hard part for the Chargers they are sitting at 6-3 in the AFC West. They're only one game behind Denver, who are on 7-2, and KC are at 5-4. Every single game matters in that division right now. Every single win matters. It doesn't matter if it's against a division opponent or a conference opponent or an out-of-conference opponent. Every single one matters because your record is what's going to get you across the line in that division a lot more than divisional wins, because I think they're all going to split at the end of the day. So every single win matters. Whereas Pittsburgh, man, they are just flying. They're a couple of games ahead of Baltimore and the Bengals at the moment, and I think they're going to want to keep pushing and keep that far ahead. So I don't know. I'm really split. It's going to be a bit of a game time pick decision for the tipping comp, I think, for me.
Both those teams, like we said, the Chiefs and the Ravens in those divisions, the teams that are usually winning those divisions, they're finding form, they're coming for the top spot. So it's a game that neither can really lose.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's move on to Monday Night Football for Week 10. It is the 6-2 Philadelphia Eagles travelling to Green Bay and Lambeau Field to take on the 5-2-1 Green Bay Packers. Both teams sitting at the top of their respective divisions, NFC East and NFC North. The Eagles are at the top of a division that is very lackluster. They sit in a great position right now, divisionally and as a conference leader. The Green Bay Packers, just like I mentioned with the Chargers, are in a division where every single win matters right now. Because again, those teams I think are all going to end up splitting. And everybody is essentially on the same win-loss record apart from that tie. That tie might actually help the Green Bay Packers at the end of the season get this division win. So everything matters here on out. The Packers also played woefully last week. There was a massive brain fade from the Green Bay Packers last week where absolutely nothing on all three phases of the ball came together, and they end up getting shown out by a team that was just ridiculously shown out by, which they shouldn't have. And I think, again, like we talked about a little bit with the Lions, about the being better coached and more disciplined. I think this week they would have disciplined themselves essentially and gone, we can't do that. We have to play better than that, and we are better than that. And the Packers at home are an absolute force. Nick, this is shaping up to be an incredible game against two huge NFC rivals for this season.
We'll start with the home team, the Packers. They've been weird this year. Like, they struggle against average and bad teams. So, two things to that are positive if you're a Packers fan. Number one, they play the Eagles this week, so they're a good team, so they should be okay. Number two is obviously in the playoffs, you play good teams. So they've been very strange against these teams where they may be sort of looking ahead, or maybe they just, I don't know, they just go off sort of how they usually trying to have their, particularly offensively, like their identity, because those have sort of been the games against Cleveland and also Carolina, so they're two losses. They just really haven't had rhythm. They haven't been able to get anything going offensively. It creates a sort of weird spot for LaFleur, because I wonder if sort of going into the next part of this season, sort of like they did a couple years ago, where they gave him the keys to the offense, Jordan Love, and they just said, all right, we're going to get you throwing the ball down the field more, bring out your sort of best ability, see what you can do with that. They drafted, a first round receiver in the first time in how many years, utilize him. They've got Christian Watson back. Now, obviously, they don't want to abandon the run game because Josh Jacobs is still a good running back. But I feel like it's probably time where they've had Jordan Love playing a bit more careful, a bit more sort of, not really to his best strengths, which is sort of more of a gunslinger and get the ball down the field, really push the sort of sticks as well. For the Philly side of things, like you said, there's no real pressure like that division. Obviously, Commanders have sort of dropped away. Dallas haven't got anything going. The Giants, unfortunately, as much as their offense has been, exciting to an extent, they haven't gotten anything going and probably won't for the rest of the year. For them, it's the same sort of thing. I would probably, if I'm the Eagles, go back to just running the ball. Give the ball to Saquon,
Yep.
start really getting him involved into the game. Their offensive line is really getting back into rhythm. They're a very good team when Saquon rushed. I think I read a stat that the Eagles are actually undefeated where Saquon has more than 20 rushing attempts. So they're undefeated. So that tells you, give Saquon the ball. Don't worry about AJ Brown. If he wants to read a book on the sideline, so be it. If he wants to talk about, demonizing these cornerbacks, and so be it. But don't worry about that. Just go back to running the ball, and obviously they'll be fine. Defensively, they haven't been quite as good as last year, but I think they'll still be able to pick up. But in this game, it's a bit weird. I do sort of think the Packers sort of bounce back in this spot and get that win. They just, I don't know, they love playing those better teams, and so they're always up for it. But I think this is probably going to be a bigger sort of Jordan Love game.
Hey, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Lambeau Field, it's getting to winter time. Monday, breezy with a snow shower in the morning. -1 or 25 in freedom units.
It's the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. You know what? That's I think going to be the only thing that could slow this down, because both offenses in this game are better than their defenses, both of them, and I'm thinking. The total on this game, you guys have broken it down really well. But I'm thinking the total's in the mid 40s. It's like 44.5.
Yeah.
So both of them are top 10 offenses and in the low teens, mid teens on their defenses in terms of ranks. And so I'm taking the over on this bet. That's my big one on this bet is I think those offenses are going to hum and I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I think this comes down to I think the Philly defense is really gonna crush the Packers offense. With Tucker Kraft now being out for the Packers, that takes away what he's been doing all season. So he's the leading receiver on 489 yards. So they've got this plethora of wide receivers that they don't use, and they use their tight end. So, and the Packers ran for 104 yards last week against the Panthers defense, and the Panthers defense isn't any good. So the Eagles defense will be licking their lips at that. They'll be looking to actually get after Jordan Love here. They're coming off the bye, and they've retooled their defense at the trade deadline as well. I think they brought in 4 defensive players at the trade deadline. So it's going to be interesting to see how they integrate into that Philly defense. And I think it's going to work really well. And I think just after last week, you can't trust the Packers. I don't think they're going to turn up. And coming off the bye, the Eagles are just going to be chomping at the bit, ready to go. They'll be ready to push their way to victory.
Quite literally.
Quite literally.
Enjoy it while they can, because it's gonna go away.
That's right. Yeah.
That's we only did that on the honeymoon, sweetheart. We're not doing that again.
Yes, so quite literally. Brad, you've thrown You've thrown everybody now.
Sorry.
Nick, Brad, have you got any other bets that you wanna mention real quick?
No, don't. If you're thinking about betting on the Cowboys, don't. Just don't.
Cowboys.
Just don't.
Well, can I?
Oh, Manjot was all about that the other day, wasn't he? In the
I don't
group
think
chats.
anyone's betting on the Cowboys this week, Brad. Come on now, you should know that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Even though they've got the bye, I'll take the bye in that. But, take the bye with the points. Exactly. They're getting the points plus 3.5. A bye.
All right. Well, I guess I better give you a multi then, Brad.
It's time for the Ian 8-game multi.
We don't really have a name for this yet, and I'm still constructing. It's not even a name. It's a shit name. You can do way better than that. That's a terrible name. I'm still constructing it as we speak, to be honest, because there are some crap games to bet on. I don't know.
A lot of tight games, really.
There's a lot of tight games.
Not a lot of value. Not a lot of value this week.
There's a lot of heavy favourites. There's a couple I'm going to stay well away from in terms of like Ravens and Vikings and the sewer bowl that is Browns and Jets.
No kidding.
I don't want to pick either of those.
That's kind.
So
I must say though, I did like the over with the total points. One thing I did notice with the Baltimore Minnesota game, it's at 48.5. So the over with the total points was that's the only thing I did find that sort of caught my attention.
Yeah, well that's a better way to bet on that game, I think, than just straight money line.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Let's go.
Fire it up.
Fire it up, says Nick. Let's I'll bring it up properly so I can read it, because that's helpful. All right. The Colts over the Falcons, the Jags over the Texans, the Bears over the Giants, the Panthers over the Saints, the Bills over the Dolphins, the Bucks over the Patriots, the Rams over the 49ers, that's for you two. And then the Packers over the Eagles, $23.90.
Not bad.
Not bad. It's okay. For a heavy favourites week, I think $23.90 is pretty good.
You got to pick a underdog to sort of juice it up a bit with the odds.
Yeah, but that's where I was going. Do I chuck the Vikings in because they're at $2.90 against the Ravens? And yeah, but I went, nah, it's okay. I won't do that because I want to stay away from that. I don't like betting on my own team. I hate doing it.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's shaping up for a few upsets.
Yeah, we are shaping up for some upsets.
A lot of heavy favourites.
Yeah, there'll probably be about 5 upsets this week.
Yeah.
Like that. It's always
5 upsets. That's actually a good line. How many upsets do we think we are going to get this week?
Yeah.
Nick's gone 5.
Over-under is...
Over-under 5 ups. No, over-under's 4 upsets this week. Boys, what would you go? Over-under?
I think you get a couple. I'm not going to go as high as 4, so I could see 3.
I'll go 3.
Yeah.
I'll go over with Nick then.
5.
I'll just go over 4.
Are we including the Thursday night game as well? Not that it will be an upset, but just in case.
Yes, I'll include the whole week.
All right,
Nick.
5.
Okay, whole week.
And we'll still get up, but yeah.
Is the Dallas Cowboys beating the bye considered an upset?
I don't know. Are they able? It depends if they're able to beat the bye.
They're not going to beat the bye.
I didn't mention it at the
I
top.
heard the bye could put up 30 points.
Anybody can put up 30 points on the Cowboys.
Oh, actually, there's 3 teams this week that could possibly lose to the bye. So the Bengals, the Cowboys, and the Titans are all in that spot right now.
The bye have a better defense than the Bengals.
Yeah, and KC might tie against it. The way they're going, the way they're playing. All right, great. If you want to find out about any of those buys, any of those upsets this week and you want to get some reactions in, you can hit us up for the reaction show that will be on the other side of these Week 10 games. You'll find a post in the NFL Fans Down Under Facebook group. You'll also find posts on our social media on Instagram, which you'll find the links for at linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. Chuck us some reactions so we can read them out and talk about all the reactions that come from actual NFL fans on the other side of the week. And if you want to just check out anything else the other guys are doing, I know Taylor is 100% back on the fantasy show this week. You would have heard him on Friday. You'll hear starts of the week on Sunday for his first time back. He is going to be like firing on all cylinders this week. You can guarantee he's going to be pumped up and ready to beat the pants off Matty C. So make sure you catch that in the feed.
Quite literally.
On Spotify, quite literally. Yeah. So you'll find all that
and
stuff.
And he will tell you that too.
In our feed, which is on Linktree as well. So thanks very much for joining us. Reaction show on the other side of the week, and we will talk to you then. See you later.